So in this video, we're going to look at different types of exam questions you could face around iterative processes. We're going to start with simple examples like this one, and then move on to looking at some fractions and then some roots, and finally finish off with a very difficult exam question that's come up on this topic. So the way my videos work, I'm going to do the example on the left. You're then going to press pause and I've got the example on the right. So the question is telling us that we've been given x0 and it wants us to find us x1, 2, and 3. So the way iterative processes work is you use the previous answer to find the next one. So in this case, we want to find x1. We know the previous answer was 2, so we're just going to sub that into this equation. So 2 plus 3 gives us 5. Now, to find x2, we're going to use the previous answer. Now, the previous answer here was 5, so that's going to be 5 plus 3. That gives me 8. And finally, to find x3, I'm going to use the previous answer, which in this case was 8. So 8 plus 3, sub that into that same formula, and that gives me 11. So now press pause and have a go at the example on the right. So hopefully press pause and have a go at the example. So that's x0 is given as 1. So to find the next one, I'm going to use the previous answer, which was 1. That gives me 6. And to find the next one, I'm going to use the previous answer, which was 6 in this case. So that gives me 11. And finally, to find x3, we are going to use that 11, and that gives us 16. And just to highlight that quickly, so that's that 2 gets used there. That 5 then gets used in the next one. And finally, the 8 then gets used there. Cool. So now moving on to a slightly more difficult looking question, but it's the exact same concept. You're using the previous answer. So in this case, the previous answer was 2. So to find the next one, I'm just going to sub that 2 into that same equation. So that's going to be 2 squared minus 7. I'm going to use brackets here, bracket 2 plus 4. So using a calculator, we get this at minus 6. Now you do want to be careful here because it's a negative number. You want to use brackets here when you're squaring it on the calculator. So that's minus 6 squared minus 7, bracket minus 6 plus 4, and that gives you 82. And then x3 will be 82 squared minus 7, bracket 82 plus 4, which gives you 6154. Okay, so again, it's the exact same concept. Use the previous answer to find the next one. So press pause and I've got the example on the right. So you have x0 is equal to 4. So we have x1 equal to 4 squared minus 5, bracket 4 plus 2. And that gives you minus 2. Now, a little tip here before we move on to the slightly difficult questions with those with decimals in them. At this point on your calculator, you can use the arrow key and go back and change the value of x, which is that and that, to be what the answer is. So right now, the answer key on your calculator is going to be set to minus 2. So your calculator is then going to look something like answer squared minus 5 bracket answer plus 2. And that gives you 16. And if you press equals on your calculator one more time, you'll get the final answer like that. So all it just means is it'll save you having to type all of that into your calculator again and again. So you just type it once to get this answer. Once you've gotten this answer here, you just substitute the value of x with the answer key on your calculator, and you just hit enter twice and you get these two. Of course, still show the working out, but it just saves you a bit of typing. So moving on. And now you'll see in this question why I recommended that approach. So again, x1 is that, x2. So use the previous answer to find the next one, sub that in for x. That gives me 0.2. And again, now what I would recommend is you replace x and x here with the A and S button, so the answer button on your calculator. And to find 3, that would be 0.2 minus 1 or 1 plus. Of course, if you use the answer key, it'll just be A and S, and that gives you minus 0.5. And at this point on your calculator, if you use the answer key, you can just press equals one more time, and you get your answer there at 3. But again, it's the exact same pattern. We use the previous answer to find the next one. And you'll see why I said that when you do this question. So now with this question, x0 is minus 2.5. Now you want to be careful how you type this in the calculator, because you definitely want to use the brackets. You get the minus 2 there, minus 4 over minus 2.5, and then the square is outside the bracket, and that gives you minus 2.64. Now, I highly recommend that you replace the x with the A and S button on the calculator. Okay, just use the arrow keys, change that, and just hit equals twice, and you'll get your next two answers. I'm still going to write them out just so you can see what's actually going on. So in this case, it'll be minus 2.64 squared, but And you want to write the full answer out. Do not round the answer. Okay, this marks for accuracy. So you want to write the full answer out, which is 7392. I'm running out of space here, but just imagine that's the full answer there. And for the final one, again, use the previous answer for the next one. And minus 2.5. Again, you're going to use the answer key, so you'll have the full accuracy. And here you'd want to write the full answer, which is minus 2.603772725. Okay, so moving on to the last example. Again, the exact same concept. The only difference is we've got a square root. So we have x1, which is going to be that, for 1.5 squared plus 5, which gives me 1.6409. And if you go and replace the 1.5 with the answer key on your calculator, if you hit equals twice, you'll already have the next two answers. But again, I'm going to show the working out, and I would recommend that you show the working out as well. So you don't need to type the whole thing within this bit here. You can just type the 4 numbers, but do use the answer key on your calculator so you get the full accuracy, okay? So again, I'm writing my answers, like I said, to full accuracy. You get marks for accuracy here. And again, hopefully press pause and had a go at the example on the right. So in this case, I am just going to write the first one. So that's going to be 10 minus 2. So 2 brackets 2. And that's going to be 1.817120593. Again, highly recommend that you use the answer key at this point and replace this value with the A and S button on your calculator, and that gives you 1.853318496. And finally, for the last one, that's 1.853318496. Again, do show your working out. I'm not going to write it here because it's a bit repetitive with the amount of examples I've written. And that's that there. Now, here's a difficult exam question that's come up on this topic in the past. So I would recommend that you press pause and have a go at this. Like I said, it is a difficult exam question. So if you can't figure it out, I would recommend giving it your best shot. And it just shows that you are coming out your comfort zone if you do find this a little bit tricky. So yeah, just press pause now. So I'm going to go through this question. Like I said, it's the exact same concept. Use the previous answer to find the next one. So they're asking how much profit was made in 2021. If I just write the years out, so there's 2018, there's 2019, there's 2020, and then there's 2021. Okay, so if we go off the previous concept we learned, we do some formula, we get an answer here for 2019. They've told us what it is. That's 29600. All I've done so far is written out what the question's given me. Again, we've run some formula in 2018, and it's given us the profit of 24,000. Okay, so now we're using that concept. Now to find 2020, we use the previous answer. So that's going to be A. I'm looking at this formula here now. That's going to be A times P, which is the profit in the last year, 29,600 plus 800, and that gives me the profit in 2020. Now the problem here is I don't know what A is. Okay, but I'll follow the exact same concept we learned throughout the video. Now, at this point, I can't go any further, but now you think, okay, can I go backwards? What else do I know about this question? Well, how did they calculate 2019? Now, to calculate 2019, they must have done A times the profit in 2018, which is 24,000, plus 800. Now, I've only got one unknown in this equation, okay? Just to be clear, we've got one unknown here. In this part here, there's two unknowns. I don't know what this is, and I don't know what this is. So because we've only got one unknown here, I can solve this as an equation. So if I subtract 800 from each side, and then if I divide each side, once I've done that, so if I just grab my calculator, 29,600, take away 800, that gives me 28,800. And I'm going to divide that by 24,000. That gives me 1.2. So then I divide each side by 24,000. And I get A is equal to 1.2. Now I know what A is. I can put A into there. So that's going to be 1.2 times 29,600 plus 800, and that gives me the answer at the end of 2020 as 36,320. And then I'm going to use that and substitute that into this year. So that's going to be A, which is 1.2, times the previous year, plus the 800, and that is 44,384. So that was that. And here are some practice questions for you to have a go at. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play for the answers. Here are the answers, mark your work. So if you are new around here and you found that video useful, I've got loads of other content that follow the exact same I do, you do concept that we did in this video. So please do check out my YouTube channel. And if you found it useful, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.